People who've gone to an orgy party. What are some common misconceptions that people have about orgies? That normal hot people are involved. Oh. Hot people have orgies. It's just that none of us are invited. People actually socialize. Lots of talking and drinks are involved. Everyone was a regular. So there was a lot of catching up each month. The sex was more of a byproduct than the main attraction. This was going to be my answer. Used to be part of a sex party group. We were all friends or friends of friends. Nudity and sex just happened to be available. But besides the 8-person gangbang going on in the living room, it was just a normal get together. There's a buffet. Better be a buffet. Frank says there's a buffet. I got invited to an Eyes Wide Shut party not knowing what it was because I'd never seen the movie. Well, it's exactly what you think it's gonna be. There was a lady giving BJS to 3 guys in one bedroom and another doing a toy show in the living room and me standing in the kitchen drinking beer having no idea what to do. I eventually left because I wasn't up for an orgy. Also the ratio seemed more like a gangbang with 3 women, 4 including my beer drinking self, and maybe 12-15 guys. I went to one totally not knowing as well. Woman who I worked with invited me to come to a hotel party with her husband and some friends. I should have asked more questions. You know how embarrassing it'd be to fart during sex? Imagine if there's like way more people there. That's a lot of farting. You have more fun as a follower, but you make more money as a leader. Thanks, Creed. Everyone there is hot. Not true. Average people there. You might see someone that you think is hot. Sure. But it's normal everyday people getting it on. Like with big bellas and stuff. Hated it when I went to one. It was very socially awkward. Imagine you're at a bar having to reject men you aren't interested in who are coming onto you. That already sucks. Now imagine when they approach you, instead of talking these men are immediately touching you. Stroking your hair or shoulders or butt, and you have to find ways to put them off still. And when they finally get a clue, they sit there and stroke their big dicks watching you have sex with someone else. Never again. This is precisely what I expect if I went to one. Hence I have not gone out of my way to find one. Thanks for reinforcing my hunch. The girl-guy ratio. I worked at a sex club for a bit and the entry fees always made me chuckle. Depending on the event it was like 50 minus 200 euros for men. Always nothing for women. The real question is, who TF is getting invited to orgy parties ? Maybe I'm just weird or very sexually conservative. But I mostly clicked this thread out of a weird morbid curiosity. Orgies sound absolutely horrible. I'm afraid of too friendly fire. Also, it's weird watching people you know duck. There are rules. It's not a free-for-all. If you want that hot chick to suck you off, you might need to get permission from her partner. Not everything is in play. Some women only will allow their partners to duck them. Other women only will allow their man to duck a woman they themselves want to go down on. There are rules discussed. And some stuff is off limits. Edit. Clarification. Some women will only allow their partners to duck them vaginally. Now maybe okay. And BJs are usually cool. This is something I wondered and it completely makes sense. Is it rude or inappropriate to ask the partner of someone there if they will do something you want? Will they get upset if you ask for something? Not the person you replied to. But it totally depends upon the situation. I go to a couple kink events. But it's really similar. I'm pretty social. So I'll talk to a lot of people and bringing up interests is a good way after some talking. I usually ask the person I'm interested in. And that's usually a good time for them to tell me if I need to talk to their partner. If it's good to go, we'll negotiate what we are up to. And what we are not. It may seem a bit weird. But with practice it can be pretty natural. I actually prefer it now to regular dating. Just because I can be open. And we can be clear on what we want. Sex and relationship counselor here. I've learned about this stuff for my client's sake. It's not my cup of tea, but perfectly respectful as a sexual interest. Here's what I've learned with regards to premeditated group sex. Some people assume that they can just walk into an orgy or a sex party of any kind and things will magically just happen to them for them. They assume that everyone is there to have sex, that they'll have sex with anyone, and that they'll be down for anything. In reality, legitimate sex parties or planned orgies, especially those with experienced organizers, place an incredible amount of importance on consent, communication, and courtesy. People aren't just expected to have sex with you. They can withdraw their consent at any time. Nobody is obligated to participate in any activity. And nobody is obligated to do things with anyone in particular. There is usually a brief debrief in the form of an introduction and ground rules that everyone is presented with beforehand, such as through email or the day of. Experienced orgy holders will also have special rules for non-con activity. Some very thorough parties make you sign contracts for non-con behavior, including outlining your understanding of safeguards and limits. It's also not unheard of for STI checks to be made and or for condoms or other barriers to be made available and mandatory, especially if the party is larger. There are, obviously, exceptions to this where organization is low, consent isn't emphasized, STIs aren't checked, and safety respect isn't as much of a concern. Engage at your own risk. I used to go to a club, and the consequence for non-consensual touching were pretty easy to learn. The bouncer and a couple other guys would drag you out the back door and kick the shit out of you. Gotta make sure the women feel safe or nobody is getting any. It's surprisingly like portrayed in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm not gonna bang any of these people, they're all paunchy and weird. The 3 I went to were magical. Those people became like family to me. Ecstasy was involved. Edit, my poor choice of words. Never actually been to one, but I was invited to one once. The guy was having a bunch of people over to immediately just have an orgy. He wanted me and my partner to take a photo of us holding a spoon and a fork and send it to him to prove if we were real people before we showed up. I decided not to go because I only want orgies with people I feel comfortable around, and I didn't know these people. Thebe didn't realize how good the potluck buffet is. No one wants to duck on an empty stomach. And food matching is important for a successful orgy. I've been to more than a few. Lots of eating. Light drinking, I don't drink. Lots of socializing. Folks were watching the fight or game. If there were 20 people there, 7 were women. Maybe about 14 men. A few couples. Married or dating. Some people had sex with a bunch of people. Others with 1 or 2. I usually had sex with 1 or 2 dudes, I'm a woman. BTW. Always a good crowd. Lots of laughing and good music. I always had a blast and I always came. Several times. Lol. It was the worst family reunion I've ever been to. Shamelessly plugging that A Good Old-Fashioned Orgy is a highly underrated film. Ah yes. Something I can answer. So basically most nights start of normal. There's snacks and drinks. Music. Mingling. Just a lot of normal party stuff. At some point people may break off into groups and grab a room or start a pile on the floor or in the pool. People watch. So many people just watch. Which is fine as long as they are quiet and respectful. Tacky comments like "shove it up her ass" aren't generally appreciated. Ask before you join. Very few people have zero qualms about what's going on. Everyone has the right to say no. Maybe you look like her dad. Or his sister. If you just jump in, they may kick you out of the pile and not ask you back. Always. Always ask. Not everyone is 6 feet tall. 140 pounds of lean muscle. You've got moms. Dads. Fat people. Skinny people. Old people. Youngish people. You might find a group who is all over 50 piled on the floor. Humping the night away. Don't be ducking rude and say shit like nobody is hot here or everyone is old. It isn't the world's job to jerk you off or flick your bean. They have every right to duck on my carpet. Okay. As long as they put a towel down first. There isn't a ton of droogus around. Occasionally someone who is rolling might show up, but there isn't a platter with a pound of coke lying around for public consumption. Sometimes alcohol is prohibited entirely. Yeah. Sober orgies are a thing. Not everyone is someone you wanna duck. That rude couple that pissed you off at the fridge is likely to be boning next to you. Rotten crotch is a thing and can really ruin a good time. If you have a fishy odor STD, please stay home and recuperate before you give 30 people BV or a yeast infection. Or worse. I'd also not recommend an orgy if you have a permanent STD. Because ducking 30 people in one night is a good way to have the health department pounding down your door. You have to clean up after yourself. Even if there is paid staff to wash sheets, you need to clean up after yourself. Good host gifts for an orgy are detergent, cups, paper towels and TP, baby wipes, condoms and lube, puppy pads, sheets and towels, white gloves, bottled water and sport drink mix, a vinyl bed cover, they get ripped easily, snacks and sodas, trash bags. If someone is hosting the orgy at their house, ask if they need help cleaning up before, during, or after. Lastly, a lot of times, nothing insane goes down. But everyone still has fun. I'd rather someone come out and dip their toes in than feel forced to participate. Misconception. It's full of super hot model type men and women. Tens. Truth. There's maybe 1 or 2 8s. A good mix of 5-7 and a lot of 2-3s. Misconception. Everyone is ducking everywhere. Truth. There may be a few people getting it on publicly. A decent amount in the couples only areas and more in private locked rooms. Misconception. Only extreme sexual deviants attend these extremely exclusive parties. Truth. They're not that exclusive. There are quite a few open on weekends to anyone old enough to enter depending on where you live. Make a FetLife account and find out what's around you. There's also a lot of really normal people. There might be 1 or 2 extremes, but I've yet to run into any, and I've been to quite a few. Usually, you'll get to know someone a bit and find out what they're into beforehand. Misconception. It's dangerous and you will be taken advantage of. Truth. I've seen more respect for one another and clear boundaries consent discussion in these places than I have anywhere else in life. Feel free to ask anything else. Don't do it with someone you're trying to date. I went to foursome with a girl I was crazy about. It wasn't fun for me. But if it was with 3 people I was comfortable with, it probably would have been great. Watching the girl I was nuts about get dick didn't really do it for me. Made me sad lol. They're a bit more private to get into that you might think. You usually need a password. They are also not usually in high-end establishments. You're doing dirty stuff, so low-end apartments are more common. People don't usually expect a buffet. But you never want to get into all the 6 on an empty stomach. People are also usually wearing masks, which makes it very difficult to determine anything about the attractiveness of any of the people involved. There's also usually some cool stuff going down under the bridge that people don't know about. Yeah. If the orgy ends up being too weird, there's usually something cool under the bridge. Wife and I have been swingers for almost 2 decades now. Some basics. Not everybody is equally attracted to everyone else. Use condoms and don't use the same condom with a different woman, but change them. Consent still applies. No means no and only needs to be said once. Don't ask again. Don't argue. Don't beg. Same rules apply in darkroom orgies. It's not easy 6. It's all a careful dance of consent. You still have to be a decent human. Last party I missed, 4 naked guys nearly kicked this guy's ass. He was putting off super creeper vibes and not getting consent or accepting no as an answer. Not attractive people? It really depends on personal taste. I don't mind a little chub. Or someone who is older. They are just people from all walks of life. I've met some awesome people at 6 parties. It's been a transformative part of my life. I wish everyone could enjoy a 6 party orgy gangbang as much as me. Here are my tips. 1. Bring a date. Either to have idle chit chat with or someone you're familiar with sexually. 2. Bring some food or drink. People tend to bring vegetable trays or wine beer. I spent one party eating all the cheese out of a tomato cheese tub. 3. If it's at someone's house, be courteous and ask if there is anything you can help do. Get massage tables set up. Move some stuff. 4. Make sure there is an expectations introduction part. Hi. My pronouns are he, him. I'm mostly here to watch and maybe play a little. Please approach me if you want to do some BDSM or other play. 5. Know your limits of alcohol or drug consumption. Don't get so ducked up that naked people have to care for you. 6. Have fun. Don't stress. Be safe. Everyone is there for a good time. That keeping it the family really can be a bonding experience.